Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, I'm going to pick up where Senator Coons left off. Not because I wish to be repetitive, but I think the issue is simply just too important. When the President of the United States violates the law, it's important to call it out. And let me underscore, this isn't when the President of the United States strays from historical norms in how he or she does the job. It's not when the president does different than what's been standard practice for prior presidents. I'm talking about when the President of the United States violates the law. Now, on the issue of inspectors general, in case folks watching at home aren't exactly sure what inspector generals do or what purpose they serve, inspectors general serve to hold executive branch agencies accountable. They work to prevent corruption and to make sure that an agency is spending money as it should be by identifying fraud, waste, and abuse, and so much more. And over the years, Congress has taken steps to ensure the independence of inspectors general. As Senator Coons referenced, it was in 2022 when our chairman, Senator Grassley, worked with Senator Peters in a bipartisan fashion to advance the Securing Inspector General Independence Act, which requires a president to give written notice and reasoning of their decision to dismiss or transfer an inspector general at least 30 days prior. It's been established that President Trump hasn't even been in office for 30 days. Now, Mr. Blanche, when you walked into my office, you repeatedly told me that you will always follow the law. Your words, quote, full stop. And you've repeated that same message here today. It's numerically, mathematically impossible for President Trump to have abided by the law in dismissing inspectors general. Yes or no?
My answer remains the same. I'm not going to comment on what the decision made by the White House counsel and President Trump and what he did.
Look, I'm not talking about how they reached their decision. And you clearly know this is not a hypothetical. He didn't give Congress 30 days notice. He violated the law, and I'm disappointed that you're failing to acknowledge that. Let me move on. As Senator Blackburn referenced a minute ago in part of her comments, we're concerned about violence in this country. I'm especially concerned about gun violence in this country. As I hope you've learned, the Department of Justice plays a key role in enforcing federal firearm laws, prosecuting gun trafficking, and defending regulations in court. Mexican President Sheinbaum has stated that President Trump agreed to work on reducing the flow of guns into Mexico as part of the recent deal to delay tariffs for a month. As Deputy Attorney General, how do you plan to uphold that commitment?
I think I agree with what the senator said, that it's extremely important to keep guns out of the hands of folks that cannot have them, especially criminals, especially people in armed robbery, drug dealing, murder.
Specific suggestions, ideas, strategies on how to do that.
I mean, I've said this a couple times, empowering our U.S. attorneys, working with state and local law enforcement to make sure that our crime, that when there's crimes committed that belong in federal court, that they go to federal court. If they belong in state court, they go to state court. But it's been done before, all right? And it can be done again.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but am I hearing a commitment to prioritize enforcement against illegal gun sales and trafficking, particularly in light of the rising concern about ghost guns?
Those are all concerns. What I was talking about is violent crime oftentimes used with guns, not always, in our cities. And I think it is extremely important that we focus as much energy as we can on fixing that.
Yeah. And it's not just in cities, by the way. Sadly, I'm not talking about schools.
Agreed.
A lot of school shootings, but in communities, urban, rural, everywhere in between. In my time remaining, a question on a different topic. You know, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have taken issue with us voicing our concern about President Trump filling the top ranks of the Justice Department with his friends, his allies, and personal attorneys. I can only imagine how they would have reacted if a Democratic president installed his own personal criminal defense attorneys as Attorney General, as Deputy Attorney General, as Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General. I know Senator Blumenthal raised questions about conflicts of interest earlier and how you would serve if your understanding of the law differed from what President Trump desired from you and the Department of Justice. This topic came up when now Attorney General Bondi was with us for her confirmation hearing. And when asked what she would do if a conflict of interest arose with respect to her previous representation of President Trump, and in that hearing, she repeatedly said that she would follow Department of Justice protocol. Now, in case you're not familiar, let me share with you that protocol would be to then have the Deputy Attorney General to step into her place. Except if you're confirmed, that wouldn't be the case because you've served President Trump in a personal capacity as well. And your deputy would also be in that conflict scenario. So can you tell me just how far down the line under President Trump's Department of Justice do we have to go until we have someone who isn't conflicted because they served as the president's personal attorney?
Well, respectfully, Senator, I don't agree with the premise that the same conflicts that apply to me will apply to Attorney General Bondi. I don't believe she was ever his personal attorney. I know she represented him in the past administration, and I agree with what General Bondi said. There are very smart people at the department that will make sure that we are doing the right thing when it comes to recusals, but I don't think it has to go very far down.
Last question. I know my time is just about up. It's a yes or no. Are you aware of any administration in history with a similar degree of cascading conflicts of interest, real or perceived?
I don't think there's cascading conflicts of interest in this administration.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.